Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the SimNFL show. Real talk about fake sports. I am your host and commissioner. You can call me Pierce. Today we are continuing our coverage of the 2027 SimNFL preseason, which is now in week 2. If you want to check out what we do here, come check us out on the website and on Discord. We would love to have you. So today we're going to cover the scoreboard of all of the week 2 games. We're not going to go into too much detail because there was one starter game and a lot of backups and a lot of starters mixed with backups. But we'll cover all the scores and some standout performances. We'll do a quick injury update, and then our feature today is on potential breakout players. I've highlighted 6 names that I think will be worth watching. These are younger players who I think are ready to take a big leap in performance compared to last year, and that's based on their progressions, some of the team composition, and just overall predictions on my end. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. So for the week 2 preseason, the Jets beat Atlanta 30-7. Jets cornerback Kendall Schaefer had 4 interceptions, so big standout day from him. On Atlanta's side, they also had 2 standout cornerback performances. Lee Kaiser had 5 passes defended, and Nashawn Elder had 4. So congratulations to all 3 of those players on great games. Cleveland beat Detroit 19-7. Cleveland's running back Roy Clark had 2 rushing touchdowns in the win. And then on the Detroit side, Joey Gosowicz had 2 forced fumbles. Carolina put up 50 on Miami, winning 50-10. Miami's cornerback CB Mendez had 6 pass breakups, and Darqueze Basile had 5. On the Carolina side, Roger Nettles had 2 interceptions and 2 pass breakups. Cincinnati beat Washington 23-10. Washington defensive tackle Robert Miller had 5 tackles for loss. Cincinnati defensive end Dustin Blackley, had 5 tackles for loss and 2 sacks in the win. New England beat New Orleans 39-10. New Orleans running back Gerald Shields led all offensive production for the Saints with 11 carries for 45 yards and a score. And then Patriots quarterback Michael Oliveros was 13 of 10, 79 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown and 89 yards on 14 carries as well. Green Bay beat Denver 34-13 with a mix of starters and backups. Ramek Phelps had 18 catches for 226 yards and a score. Rookie Denver quarterback Cooper Williams was 15 of 34, 101 yards, also 16 carries for 79 yards. Tampa Bay beat Jacksonville 13-7. Jacksonville quarterback Matt Howard was 25 of 40, 120 yards and a touchdown. Bucs strong safety Jeffrey Cullum was the standout on defense with 3 defended passes. Seattle beat Pittsburgh 37-13. Kyle Higbee for the Steelers, 9 of 17, 93 yards, but also 19 carries, 154 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown for Higbee. Seattle's Clayton McGee had 15 carries, 177 rushing yards, a touchdown, an additional touchdown, and 69 receiving yards on 7 catches. Continuing with the Week 2 scores, Tennessee beat Philadelphia 33-7. Tennessee quarterback Christopher Giancola was 7 of 21, only 51 passing yards, but 191 rushing yards and 2 rushing TDs. Philadelphia's Josh Coyle had 8 catches, 49 yards. LA game was the one starter versus starter game, and the Chargers put up 50 in defeating the Rams. 50-31 was the final. Philip Avila was 40 of 62, 464 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And then Miguel Aguilera, 17 of 23, 189 passing yards and a score, 56 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns on 11 carries for Aguilera. Minnesota beat Vegas 29-2. Vegas linebacker Ariel Calderon had 5.5 tackles for loss and half a sack. Meanwhile, Minnesota's cornerback Anthony Fulmer broke up 3 passes and scored 2 interceptions. The Giants beat Chicago 29-7 is the final there. Bears running back Stanley Segovia, 8 carries, 120 yards and a score. And Giants defensive tackle Robert Monzel had 4 tackles for loss. Kansas City beat Houston 27-16. Houston's quarterback was Marcus Detweiler, who was 7 of 16, just 56 yards, but 129 yards rushing on 15 carries. Meanwhile, Chiefs running back Xavier Smith led them with 15 carries, 87 rushing yards, and a score. Baltimore beat Arizona 31-7. Arizona quarterback Jake Gonzalez had a pass breakup, a forced fumble, and an interception in the game. Meanwhile, Ravens quarterback Brandon Savage getting some snaps. He was 26 of 37, 248 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Dallas beat Buffalo 48-7. Peter London was playing 37 of 50 for him on the day, 429 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Buffalo's linebacker Weston Shackelford had 3 tackles for loss. And finally, Indianapolis beat San Francisco 37-3. Joaquin Centeno was running for the Colts, 23 carries, 152 yards, a rushing touchdown. And then Luis Bourgeau also had 22 carries, 122 rushing yards, and 2 more rushing touchdowns for the Colts. Meanwhile, San Francisco played quarterback Brandon Ramirez. He was 26 of 41, 240 rushing yards and passing yards, and an interception on the day for the 49ers. So as far as notable performances go, again, really just one game to focus on, and that was the All-LA game, which had all starters on offense and defense. So big day for Avila, 464 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 turnovers, a very Avila stat line. Scott Baldwin, of course, the top recipient, 13 catches, 149 yards, and a score. Tram Singh had a great day at linebacker with 3 tackles for loss. And then Miguel Aguilera, as we mentioned, 4 touchdowns in total for him. Harrison Rodriguez added 79 yards and a rushing touchdown. Pedro Tavecchio added 75 yards and a rushing touchdown. So the Chargers, as a team, over 200 yards on the ground and 5 scores. At one point, they led 41-7 in just the second quarter, and then they eased off for an easy 9-point victory, breaking 50 ultimately by the second half. But yeah, big showing for the Chargers, both on offense and defense, showing up against the Rams, proving what their starters can do against one of the best teams in the league. So for an injury update, a couple of new names to add to the list. Vegas defensive tackle Jordan Westbrooks had a PCL bruise. He will miss the start of the regular season, as will the Giants defensive end Kodrea Kazmarski with that high ankle sprain. And then finally, Tennessee's cornerback Quintarius Koo fractured his ankle. Not quite as bad as what Hugh Kahn suffered, but Koo will miss significant time, including at least 4 weeks into the regular season. And of course, we're keeping an eye on Joshua Martin, Haim Costa, and all these other names as well as they recover. So our feature today is again on breakout players. I looked at players of a certain overall and a certain age, looked at their production from last year, and I found 6 names that I think could see a breakout year statistically, and that's based on their own growth, the schemes that their teams are using, people they're playing with. So yeah, we're going to go over those, some of my predictions, and feel free to add any in the comments that you think I might have missed. First one I want to highlight is Ravens defensive end Nick Concepcion. He's a 76 overall, 25 years old, max potential. Last year he played in 11 games, had 49 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, including 5 sacks. He's now their DE2, so I think he should be getting starter snaps across the board. He went +6 in the offseason, and then in training camp he gained 7 attribute points across his 2 drills, which gave him an additional 2 overall. So in one offseason, he's gone from 68 to a 76. And is in a position, so not only to be much better, but to be starting. Could be a huge year for him. And also, of course, one common theme we're going to see through these predictions on the defensive side is there's also been a change in the engine to try to focus on edge rushers to make them more powerful, especially against the passing game. Past years, defensive tackles have been our leading sackers, and we're trying to rework those pass rush mechanics so that edge rushers, defensive end speed rushers, and outside linebackers with the pass rush archetype get more features, get more opportunities to rush, get more chances to stand out on the stat sheet. So that could be in play as well, but certainly gaining 8 points of overall in one offseason is the other big part. He's written to be second on their roster. I think he'll be a starter, and I think he could have a big season. Staying in the AFC North, we have Cleveland's quarterback Dominic Nku, who is now a 75 overall. Last year, he completed just over 50% of his passes, 2,700 yards, and about an equal ratio of touchdowns to interceptions. He went +5 in the offseason, got an additional 4 attribute points in camp. So he's now up to 88 throw power and 86 accuracy. His wide receiving group has gotten better in progression, although they still have a ways to go. So those overalls are still low compared to the rest of the league. They don't yet have a true wide receiver 1, although between Brennan Dominguez and Marvin Thomas, they're certainly trying to develop them. But just based on Nku's increased numbers in power and accuracy, expecting a better year for him. And again, with the continued growth of that offense, especially the wide receivers, hopefully that can help him bring up his stats as well. Finally, Houston quarterback Travis Neeble is on this list. It might be a little weird to have a number 1 overall pick and a starting dual threat quarterback listed as a breakout player. But there are some reasons I think his ceiling is increasing. So he's a 78 overall. Last year completed under half his passes, under 2,000 yards, and almost double the number of interceptions and touchdowns. 9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Certainly better than his rookie year when he had 3 scores and 18 picks. He also had just shy of 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 fumbles on 252 carries. So last year, Neeble was tasked with really carrying that offense after Johnson was traded to the Broncos. So without Ryan Johnson, without the 2-headed rushing attack, it really was all about Neeble. And he did his best, and he certainly got a lot of opportunities. He went +4 in progression. He did not have a great camp, did not gain any attribute points because of some negative events, which has to be disappointing. However, he now has a 79 and a 77 overall wide receiver and a 77 overall tight end. So like Nku, he's getting better targets around him, as well as he's also developing. So I think he could be set for a big season. We saw snippets last year, single games, where he would have really strong performances, like 70% completion, 3 touchdowns, no picks, plus rushing yards. So I think he's going to be a real weapon. And then breaking away from analysis and just on vibes, Houston's still in the place where, Neeble has a good game and a lot of people feel good. They're like, oh, good for him. We feel happy for him. But I think Neeble could develop into the place where teams are not happy to play against him and to have to game plan around him. He still leagues behind Aguilera, but that's kind of the name I think of when you think about how am I going to stop this guy. And as much as Dean talks about Aguilera not having the downfield accuracy that he was like, he is a huge dual threat and is difficult to defend against. And I think Neeble could be in that echelon and could be someone that defensive coordinators struggle to contain as he develops. So even though he was a meta number 1 pick, even though he's been a starter, I think statistically he could be ready for a big jump if he starts turning in, if those singular performances from last year become more of the norm. Also want to talk about Jacksonville wide receiver Jake Bolden, who's a 78 overall at just age 24. Last year he had 31 catches, 411 yards, and 5 touchdowns. But like some other names on this list, he's now developed to the point that just based on overall, he's a wide receiver 2. So I expect him to get even more snaps than he did last year. He went +5 in offseason progression, gained an additional 5 attribute points in camp. And I think Jacksonville, now that they've settled into Rivera as their starter, if he can get more consistent quarterback play with Rivera, I think could be set up for an improvement. So yeah, this, as with others, a combination of better attributes, better surrounding supporting cast, in a better position on the depth chart to really increase his numbers way up from the 31 catches he had last year. We've also got Kansas City defensive end Jalen Jones. Jalen was picked 4th overall. He's now a 74 overall at age 24. Last year in 12 games, he had 19 tackles and 2 sacks, which also counted as his 2 tackles for loss. But similar to Bolden, he's now progressed to the point where he could be, and I think should be, a starter playing all 17 games if he can be healthy. He also went +5 in progression. He gained 6 attribute points off his camp. And now the Chiefs made a big move to get Chad Bruce from the Broncos. So Bruce is playing at one defensive end position and is absolutely going to draw the best tackles. So that gives Jones the opportunity as the second defensive end to get better matchups and to get better results. And yet again, I think the sim engine is on his side as well. So I think Jones could be could be up for a huge improvement from those 2 sacks last year in 12 games if he starts playing opposite Bruce with the new engine adjustments in there. Carlos Mateo of Seattle is a 76 overall at age 25. Last year he had 38 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, including 4 sacks. Mateo is the 4th linebacker on a Seattle team that is just brimming with incredible linebacker talent, most noticeably Brandon Schroeder, the best outside linebacker in the game. So I think last year, Mateo only played about 700 snaps. And I think that's because you're in a division with the Rams, who pass a lot. You're now in a division where the 49ers have moved to an air raid scheme. So I think a lot of times Mateo, being that 4th linebacker, was just taken off so they could add a cornerback and didn't play as many snaps, and that's why his stats are down. But I think there's a case to be made for leaving Mateo and Schroeder both on the field, even in pass-happy schemes, even against pass-happy schemes. Try to rush the quarterbacks, rattle them, and disrupt the passing offense that way. So this prediction will depend on how much they use him and if he gets more snaps than he did last year. But he went +6 in offseason progression, had a decent camp. He gained 3 attribute points. So yeah, if he can get the playing time, I think he's an incredible talent, 76 overall at just age 25, at a position where a lot of people are hungry for talent. Seattle just happens to be really deep at linebacker. So we will see if he gets the play time, but I think he could be a real force to be reckoned with, especially paired with Schroeder on the other side. And finally, I want to talk about Bucs linebacker Juwan Gray, who's a 78 overall at age 25, also with a potential. Last year he had 51 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, forced and recovered a fumble. But he's now the top linebacker by overall on the Buccaneers depth chart. He went +6 in progression and had a phenomenal camp, gained 9 attribute points across the 2 drills. So yeah, 78 overall, young linebacker, absolutely primed and ready to dominate through, I don't know what machinations. He has had fewer snaps every single year throughout his 3 seasons. So I don't know if there was maybe special teams as a rookie that then fell off. But he's in his 4th year now at the end of his rookie contract. And I think if he can get back to or even exceed those first-year snap counts, I think he could absolutely clean up. So I hope Tampa Bay finds a way to get him on the field after decreasing snaps the first 3 seasons. He's a phenomenal athlete, and I think ready to take a big jump compared to his numbers from 2026. So that is all I have for this edition of the SimNFL show. Next week we will wrap up the preseason with the final week, and then it will be a countdown to August 6th on Thursday night when we open the season with the Vikings going to the defending Sim Bowl champions, the Rams, in LA. But for now, I will sign off, and as I say to all users in all of our Sims, good luck and have fun.